What if life was like a maze? One real way out, and 1,000 paths that look like it. What if every turn you took felt right when you stepped into it, but led you somewhere else? And the only way to know was to keep walking, not knowing if you were getting closer or just going deeper into something you might not make it out of. What if this wasn't a game? What if this was real life? And when you finally hit a dead end in the maze, that really was the end. Let me tell you a story that helps bring this to life. They all started together. Mike, Ruben, CJ, Malik, and Devin. Shoulder to shoulder at the maze of life entrance. No maps, just curiosity. 5 minds chasing something more. At first, they walked the same stretch, cracking jokes, making plans, full of energy. But life, it doesn't stay simple for long. Ruben was the first to take a turn. His path became reverent, like stepping into something deeply religious. Tall cathedral ceilings, marble floors, choirs echoing in the distance. Candles lit the way. A sign above the arch said, "Faith, certainty, purpose." He looked back and said it feels like truth, like what he's been missing. Mike stood at the fork, watching. At first it seemed like a beautiful place, full of peace and structure. But the deeper Ruben went, the more he started following rituals instead of reflection, rules instead of relationship. He stopped seeking and started defending. That path didn't trap him with deception, it trapped him with certainty. He stopped asking questions. He stayed because it made him feel right. And the maze, it doesn't pull you out, it lets you settle. So Mike kept moving. CJ's path came next. It was loud. The bass shook the floor, lights flashed like paparazzi. Silhouettes of bodies danced behind glass walls. The air smelled like temptation. The sign above the entrance read, "Freedom, ecstasy, escape." He grinned. "Yo, this the life. Come through." That path lured him with everything that feels good. Sex, drugs, fame, endless stimulation with no silence in between. He was chasing euphoria, but every high led to a deeper hollow. At first, Mike watched, thinking maybe he'd realize it was a loop. But pleasure has a way of convincing you its purpose, and that's what kept him there. So Mike walked on. Malik's path was polished. Glass doors, sharp suits. Every step triggered a spotlight on him. The sign said, "Promotion, respect, legacy." He looked over his shoulder and said, "I'm building my way out of this." He wasn't running from pain. He was chasing validation. Every door he opened gave him more of what he wanted, but none of them brought him closer to freedom. That path didn't feel like a trap. It felt like achievement. But achievement with no destination is just a treadmill in disguise. Mike called out to him, but the applause was too loud, so he kept moving. Devin never chose. He stepped into Ruben's world for a while, then CJ's, then back to Malik's. He tried to find one that fit, but life isn't designed for wanderers like that. Too many false starts, and eventually, he disappeared. Not because he was pulled away, but because indecision erases people too. And then, it was just Mike. No crew, no noise. Just one quiet path, growing narrower with every step. Sometimes he questioned himself. What if he missed the right turn? What if they were right and he was just stubborn? But something in his chest, something sacred, said keep moving. And he did. Until he found Elijah, sitting alone in a quiet place, shoes worn, eyes heavy. He said, "I started walking this path before you, but when I saw everybody else turning, I thought maybe I was going the wrong way, so I stopped." Mike helped him to his feet, and they walked together. Then they found Kira, still, silent, tears in her eyes. She said, "I made it this far, but it's hard feeling like the villain, just because I kept going, like I left everybody behind." Mike told her, "You didn't leave them, you just didn't get stuck. And maybe you walking forward is what might one day bring them out. That's the thing about life. It doesn't stop you. It just gives you options. Comfort, pleasure, power, distraction. They all feel like the answer, but most paths don't lead you out the maze. They just trap you in place or lead you to a dead end, wrapped in a feeling strong enough to keep you still. But the true path, it's narrow, unmarked, lonely, rarely chosen, but it leads somewhere. And if someone keeps walking, even when they feel lost, even when the silence gets loud, even when they doubt themselves, they'll find it. The exit, the freedom, the truth. This is the quote room, where words wake minds. Some things don't need a reaction, just reflection. Just a few thoughts I had on my mind.